podcast, Anime Rewind. I am Brian, and I am here with my good friend James. Hello, James.
Hey Brian, how's it going?
It's going good. Today we watched the episode Ephemeral Dream. I like this episode, but I heard, or a little bird told me, that you didn't like it quite as much as I did.
Well, we can get into it. The title, though, these titles are getting pretty literal. Ephemeral Dream, Badass Dude.
Right? Yeah, I think Badass Dude's my favorite by far. Okay,
Uh,
so this episode, it starts off with a chat room, and they're talking about losing things. Everyone's talking about, like, not remembering where they put things and stuff like that.
right, and it's almost like it's establishing some kind of theme that we're going to stick to for the entire episode.
No, come on, that's crazy. Um, so we hear Celtie's monologue. She's wondering about where her head is. She's, wondering what world her head's perceiving, and she talks about not remembering when she stopped like perceiving herself as a person with a head.
Yeah, and she's having this recurring nightmare where she gets really close to, picking up her head finally, but then some kind of monster keeps it from her.
Right. So, in the next scene, we see Shinra, and he's super excited because Celty has her first day off in like a super long time. And Celty's asking Shinra about dreams, assuming that he has some answers because he's a doctor scientist. And and Shinra basically tells her like, they're still a mystery, so not really the information that she was hoping for.
Right. And so because it's her first day off in 265 days,
Holy moly.
they decide to make it an in day. So he turns off his phone and he unplugs his router, which is like, I don't know about you. I wouldn't be able to have a relaxing day at home with my router unplugged. It'd be a terrible day.
It's a nice gesture though, James, all right? um,
And
yeah,
Celty decides she'll cook him lunch. And actually, briefly in the monologue, she kind of admits to being in love with Shinra.
yeah, which is kind of cool because, most animes they'll beat around the bush with that kind of thing, but she kind of straight out says like she has feelings and that she's pretty sure that it's love for Shinra. So I think it's kind of cool that they actually just, kind of commit to it.
Yeah, that's one thing that it's like a trope that I'm over with in anime. They're like, oh, will they, won't they? It's like, we all know they will. We have to spend 25 episodes on this. Like,
Yeah, it does get kind of stretched out after a while.
and then we
Um,
also find out that Shinra can like read her emotions. She doesn't have a face, but he can determine how she's feeling by the viscosity of her neck smoke or something like that.
Yeah, he kind of just like peers into her like doom cloud, and then somehow he can tell what she's feeling, and she thinks that it's kind of funny that he's able to do that.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Kita and Mikado are having their like generic school times and tying into our theme of losing things. Mikado didn't bring his textbook, so he's got to borrow it from Kita. He didn't bring his tie, and then, everyone's just forgetting things, losing things all over the place.
Yeah, but we can assume from this that like maybe Mikato is involved with something, and seems very like preoccupied at the moment.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So, yeah, in the next scene we see Erica, and she is looking for Walker. She seems worried because she wants to make it to the store for the new release of Excel World, which is actually a very good anime. And she's talking to Simon and mentions that he lost his phone, and so she can't get in contact with him because he doesn't have his phone with him.
Right, and at this point, Excel World would be just a humble light novel. I think Erica and Walker are like light novel otakus,
Yeah, that
which,
seems to be the case. Yeah.
which would make sense because Durarara is a light novel. So the author's gonna put a little bit of himself in those characters, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, so then Erica runs into this foreigner. I think she might be French or something, and she seems to be like doing some kind of social art thing. She's got a drawing pad hanging on her chest, and she's holding a sign that says "Lost Objects." And so the idea is that you go up and you either draw a picture or write, something that you're looking for. And Erica puts a note on there.
Yeah, she's some kind of performance artist. I don't really get it. So in the Japanese version, I guess they must have given her a funny accent in the English version
Yeah,
to
they did.
kind of jive with this. Because in the Japanese version, she's just got like a really butchered American accent when she's speaking Japanese. She's like, "Konnichiwa, onegaishimasu."
Yeah, in the dub, they actually kind of combined French and Spanish because, like, she says bonjour, but she also says like a few Spanish words too. So I think it's just to convey the idea that she's a foreigner, basically.
Right, and in anime, you can't really do that by giving someone blonde hair and blue eyes, because like Sailor Moon has blonde hair and blue eyes. So.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird predicament, uh, but I think they managed to kind of get the point across, anyways. Um, so after this, we see Kyohei, and he's like outside of the pharmacy complex, and he's still upset about the whole debacle with Kazutano, and he's really curious about is it Yagure Pharmacy, I
Yeah, he's
believe.
just kind of creeping outside of Yagiri Pharmacy, right? And he's just kind of narrowing his eyes, and he's like, "Oh, they're such a shady organization, and they've got ties to the mafia."
Right, yeah, he like lists off a couple sketchy organizations that are rumored to be involved with him, and um, he finally decides that he's gonna leave the area because he can't get any more answers, and he's walking away, and as he's walking away, he walks past this young dude who is apparently strapped with fireworks,
Yeah, he's
and
some rando, and he decides he's going to storm this heavily guarded building with these dime store fireworks that he's got.
yeah, so he like lights one of the fireworks, and he's got one like in his hand, but then we also see like underneath his coat, he's like strapped with a whole bunch of them, and he just charges the complex.
So we see Walker talks to Simon for a second. He's looking for Erica too, and I don't know if you caught this, Brian. For just a second, when Walker is talking to Simon, you can see two characters which haven't been introduced yet, and they won't be introduced for a long time. Isaiah's twin sisters walk by in the background.
Oh no, I didn't see that. That's
Yeah,
cool though.
just for a few seconds. They're not going to be in the show for like another
Million years, right?
12 or 13 episodes or something. Well, you see them.
That's cool. I mean that I I always thought that their appearance was kind of like felt like phoned in, but apparently they had been planning that for a while, if that's the case.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, obviously, I haven't read the light novels. I figured maybe they were featured more prominently in the light novels, and then they got written out of the show, but then written back into the show. I don't know. I got to read these light novels.
yeah, so Walker is, frantically trying to find Erica. He asks Simon where she is, and Simon's like absolutely no help. Um, and then at this moment, we see Celty. She's driving by, and she's got her grocery bag with ingredients to make a dish for Shinra.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even catch that part.
So then they cut back to Celty and Shinra's apartment, and Celty she completes her dish for Shinra, and like Shinra's eating it, and he's got tears streaming down his face, and it's not exactly clear if it's because the cooking's bad or he's just moved by the gesture. Um, but Celty definitely interprets it as the dish is really bad, so she gets like really upset, and she's saying like you don't have to eat it, and it looks like something's wrong, and she like encases the whole meal in this shadow orb, so he can't finish it.
Right. So for some immortal smoke monster, she's, kind of self-conscious.
Yeah,
Like most anime girls, she's self-conscious about her cooking ability.
yeah. I mean, also, I mean, it's the whole thing. Like she forgets what it's like to have a head, so it probably brings up thoughts like that. Like she's already agonizing over her head being missing, and now this is just like another thing to prove that like she's lost touch with being whole.
Right, and the argument over lunch like quickly breaks down into the fight about whether or not she needs her head, which made me chuckle a little bit. You know, they're just like any other couple. They always fight about the same thing over and over again, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, and it's strange because I don't think like I feel like what Shinra is saying is kind of like it's a nice thing to say, but on the other hand, I do understand like Celty just being frustrated with it. She says like she's starting to forget what her own face looks like, and that could be like a really creepy thing to happen to you. So, I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, and she storms out, and Shinra tries to chase after her, but just then he gets a visit from a scary suited man who's like, "Hey, why'd you turn your phone off? We got an emergency."
Right. Yeah, he's got some patient that he needs Shinra to fix up. Meanwhile, uh, someone is apparently stealing Henri's shoes at the school.
Yeah, they're bullying her, I guess. And so Mikado's like, "Oh, I'll help you," and Kita's like, "Don't worry, I'll find out who did this," and then like runs away and leaves school, which I think is probably like a ruse. He probably just wants to give Henri and Mikado some alone time to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
some activities alone.
right. So Mikado and Henri are, going through the school looking for them. And then Henri starts talking about her family kind of without thinking, and then suddenly she becomes very uncomfortable and kind of jets out.
Right, and then Mikado is such a white knight, he just continues to keep looking by himself,
Right.
and he does find them on the soccer field. So it was pretty bad, pretty mean bullying to take someone's shoes and throw them out the window.
Yeah. But luckily, Mikado's such a swell guy. Um, so the next scene we see is Celti and Shizuo, and it seems like Celti may have contacted Shizuo to kind of like confide in him since she's feeling kind of blue about the whole head situation.
Yeah,
And
imagine that text. Hey, Shizu, I'm having a rough day. Do you want to stand in front of an empty lot with me?
right, yeah. So they're staring at this empty lot, and they're talking about how they can't remember what the building used to look like, which is obviously a metaphor for Celti's whole situation. And Celti has some introspective about like why she got mad at Shinra and admits that her life is actually pretty good. And then suddenly she remembers what the building looks like. Uh, and it turns out it was like some old thin blue building where some ladies used to sell shitty cigarettes to people.
Oh, so now everyone's finding the things they lost. These themes.
That's okay. All right, I see what you're getting at here. Yeah, so with this epiphany, she kind of like assures herself that her head is in Ikebukuro and that she's gonna find it.
Yeah, and Mikado runs into the missing objects girl, and he's reading all the different messages that people have left for her. And my favorite one is the one that's just the kanji for the word job. He's like, I lost my job.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. And then one says, Yumachi, I'll wait for you on the first floor of Tora Noana. And then there's another note that just says head, which I thought was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
funny.
So Celti arrives home and she realizes that she's there alone and Shinra's not there. And then it's kind of cute. She like freaks out a little bit. She's like, "Oh no, hope everything's all right. I'm gonna go drive around town looking for him."
Right, yeah.
But
Um,
he's in Yagiri Pharmacy actually. Shinra is, and
right.
he's been taken to treat the random fireworks kid who apparently got his ass beat. His ass beat so bad he's covered in bruises and is unconscious and doesn't even respond when Shinra's like pulling his eyelids back.
Yeah, this seems pretty serious. Um, and we hear that this rando was, he suspected that they were doing some kind of experiments on his girlfriend, and, he's probably right. Um, and he got taken down by security.
Yeah, and Shinra says like, yeah, this kid wasn't talking crazy. Obviously, he was telling the truth. And the scary executive guy's like, "Yeah, well, you better play ball, Shinra, because we all know you've got a crazy monster in your apartment."
Yeah, that was kind of a dick thing to do, but yeah, he's definitely kind of using the knowledge of Celti to blackmail him into working for him. And yeah, so after this whole scene, we see Celti is out. She's still scouting for Shinra, and she notes that in that moment, her mind was kind of devoid of thoughts about her missing head. And then she finds Shinra, and he seems a little upset. Like he doesn't seem super cool with all the things that the people at the pharmacy were making him do. And so he suggests that they go out to eat somewhere so he can kind of take his mind off things.
Yeah, he basically asks her on a date to Russian sushi, which apparently serves really bizarre sushi. Like he's like cheese sushi, sour cream
Yeah,
sushi, bork sushi.
fried chicken sushi.
Really stretching the definition of what can reasonably be called sushi.
Right, and Shinra's just he's like really upset about this and says like, none of these things should ever be sushi.
And then because I guess like Simon and his bosses at Russian Sushi just like don't know how this works, at the end of dinner they get fortune cookies.
Right, yeah, that's the dessert is fortune cookies. Um, and Celti opens hers, and her fortune is a lost object will be found.
Right, which she's really pleased about, and Shinra opens his and it says unrequited love.
Right, and so and then Celti asks, she says, "Oh, can I see your fortune?" And then Shinra like quickly stuffs it in his mouth and eats it.
He's like, yeah, I didn't get one.
I thought that was a funny
So
scene.
yeah, this was a nice moment, but I wonder like, is this foreshadowing for something? Like if she ever does find her head at that moment, like will her and Shinra's thing be over, you know?
Yeah, I think that's something they're kind of trying to loom over our heads.
Right, at
um,
least get us to worry about it.
right.
Would you be devastated, Brian?
I would be pretty upset. This that whole episode, like, I could see how someone might not like it because it's super cheesy, but I really liked all the scenes with Celti and Shinra, so I guess I'm just a sappy dude.
Right,
Uh,
and speaking of cheese, the next we get a brief little moment where Erica and Walker do finally meet up, and then they kind of have a nice moment where they're dancing around. And like you said before, I like to see actual like couples who are happy and not just like dancing around the issue that they both clearly like each other, but because they're anime characters, they can't voice that opinion.
right, yeah, yeah, agreed. Um, so after this, we see Mikado, and he's bringing Henri's shoes back home to her, and I think he might have been expecting like a makeout sesh or something for bringing her shoes back, but she just kind of sticks her head out the door really quick and says thanks, grabs the shoes, and pops back in.
Ah, friend zone, am I right?
Oh God. And then after this, we see Seiji, and he is with the mysterious scar-necked girl. And he finally turns to her and calls her Selty.
Right, so that's pretty strange. He's like, I love you, Celtine. And she doesn't seem to be able to talk, but she seems happy too. And
Right. She also seems to be having trouble like with her memories as well.
right, but she can at least understand basic human speech because she can nod and shake her head.
Hmm. And then we see a nice little scene with Selty where she puts her fortune under her pillow. And after she does that, she finally has like a very vivid dream um, of when she was quote unquote whole, and she sees her face like very clearly for the first time in a long, long while.
Yeah, and it's the face of the scar-necked girl.
Right.
So that's kind of a big reveal.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
we,
a
we
reveal
presumed it from
everyone
like the
saw
first
coming.
episode. Yeah. I mean, why else would she have that scar on her neck? It just. But yeah, I don't know. I like that episode a lot. So let me ask you. I can probably see where you're going with like the theme is maybe like overhammered. Is that is that your gripe with it?
Yeah, I mean, you're winning me over a little bit. It was an all right episode. I didn't hate it. It's just I was just not a lot was established, and then I feel like they did that big reveal at the end with Celti's dream just because they knew that this was kind of just a It was not. I'm not going to say filler. It was a placeholder episode where we got to see the characters in nice like everyday situations without crazy shit going on.
Right. So this episode was a character development episode. It wasn't something that furthered the story too much, but for me that's fine because like for me like I'm all about the character. Like the story is peripheral for me, but I can definitely understand why someone who's like really into the ongoing plot line would be like upset that, it hasn't moved much in this episode.
Yeah, it was all right though. I liked it.
Yeah, I really
So
liked it. It was one of my favorite episodes.
should we move on to Weekly Weeb-out?
Sure, why don't you start that off?
Oh, Brian, I was hoping you could sing the Weekly Weeb-out jingle.
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm gonna have to prepare
Ah, come on, man.
next
You gotta
episode.
work on that.
Next episode, I'll have a jingle ready.
Okay, so if you're on the anime subreddit, you might see occasionally links are submitted from animemaru.com. Have you ever heard of that, Brian?
No, I haven't.
So animemaru.com, it's like The Onion, so like humorous satirical articles, but instead of the news, which they satirize on The Onion, in Anime Maru they're satirizing like anime issues and anime news, which is it's interesting to see, and a lot of them are really funny. So I wrote down some of the headlines that I thought I'd read for you, Brian. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So we got scientists discover running like Naruto actually faster.
Like it, but that's not true.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's funny because, I remember this kid, Stephen Bukowski, like when we would go out recess in sixth grade, he would always run around like that. Like, and I would ask him, like, why do you run like that? And he'd be like, it's actually more aerodynamic. And I was like, that can't not be true. Even back then, I was like, no, that's not right.
All right, I got some more. I got some more. All right. Slice of life anime fan considered his favorite show may have a plot.
That's a good one.
Hatsune Miku caught lip syncing.
Oh, because she's not a real person.
Japan announces plans to open the world's first Whack Donald's restaurant.
That's a good one. It's funny because Whack Donald's does reoccur in multiple animes. They really like that one.
And this one was my favorite. Confused George Foreman insists that his is the best grill.
Is uh is there any other grill? I don't think
What do
I'm
you get
getting
it,
this
man?
one.
Best girl, best grill.
Oh, okay, I get it. I get it now. Okay. That
Man,
one
I
went
really
over my
thought
head.
I was gonna wow you with
I'm
these,
sorry. No, that's just me being stupid is all.
but yeah, check out animemaru.com. It's funny if you like that kind of anime subculture humor. Give it a shot. What do you got, Brian?
I guess what I'm weaving out is Kineticon, which is coming up kind of soonish, and um, I've been wanting to do like Gajinka costume of Noivern, which is like this bat dragon from Pokemon, and
Okay, so back up here. Kachinkin?
I think it's Gajinka. I hope I'm saying that right, but it's
And what
just
does that
like
mean?
that just means like a humanized version of something. So like people will do like Gajinkas of Pokemon a lot. So like, you basically make like an outfit that looks like something like a person would wear, but like suggests a Pokemon.
Okay, that's cool.
But I mean, it doesn't have to be with Pokemon. Obviously, it's like anything. Like, anything can be Gajinkified.
I see.
That's the technical term. But yeah, so I've been watching a lot of like foam crafting like tutorials on YouTube and stuff. So I'm really excited to like go out and get some EVA foam and try to make like is like Noivern has like these big like dish ears basically, which I want to like integrate into a hoodie somehow. So I'm excited to go out and try that out.
Okay, and when and where is Kineticon?
So Kineticon is July 7th through 10th, and it's in Hartford, Connecticut. And there's a lot of anime there, but it's not just anime. It's like basically all nerd culture, a lot of Western stuff as well. And I live in CT, so it's not going to be an expensive con to go to because I don't have to worry about renting a room. So should be a
All
fun
right.
time.
Yeah, if you end up at Kineticon, look for a guy in a what? What Pokemon?
Noivern Gajinka costume.
Yeah, and that'll be Brian, and you can be like, "Hey, Brian, I like your Anime Rewind show," or you can say, "I don't like your Anime Rewind show." You don't have to do what I tell you.
So yeah, I think that concludes this episode. Again, everyone, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. I'm so glad that you're here with us, listening and absorbing the podcast and internalizing the podcast.
Wait, Brian,
Wait, James,
you're never gonna believe this.
what?
We have tweets.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I forgot. I'm so used to there not being tweets that I almost skipped over the tweet section entirely.
All right, so we got three tweets from the same guy. I guess our number one super mega fan, Squirrel Spellboy, the only
Love that
person
guy.
to, or one of the only few people to tweet us more than once, right? So in three tweets, he said, "Hey, I thought you had definitely gone on vacation forever. Good to have you back." Yeah, that's on us. We took a hiatus involuntarily, but we're back now, all right?
Yeah, we're bad podcasters.
He said, "Also, I was just wondering, why did you decide to make the podcast episodic? It's going to take forever to end only this one series." That's a good question.
And we've had that question before, actually. Um, but I think for me, like I was talking to you earlier, and I was talking about how I've been watching the show The Leftovers, and after I watch an episode, what really helped kind of like solidify the episode in my mind was like watching these people who would kind of talk about it and like what they thought about it. And I really like that idea. And I think there's probably other people who like that idea as well, but I can see how it might not be for everyone.
Right, and you and I are both big Durarara fans, and we wanted to make this part of like starting out with this podcast. But we've got other plans in the works. We're gonna make me and Chad reviewing anime movies a regular thing. We've got other ideas we're gonna try. Basically, this is we both enjoy Durarara and recapping and talking about it, and this was a chance to do that and get this podcast started at the same time.
Right. So keep a lookout. We'll have other stuff. And if you're not into this format, if it's too slow for you, go ahead and check out right now. We have Detective Conan vs. Lupin the Third, and there's a review of that movie. So if you guys are more into like broader synopsis, go ahead and check that out.
Right, and we've got another movie review coming next week.
Yes, we do.
And he ends his three tweets with "Not that I'm complaining, happy face." So this was this was not meant to be too critical, I guess. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
great. It's awesome to get any tweets, and if there's something you want to hear, if you've got ideas for us, tweet us. We will definitely we'll read them on the show and we'll take them into consideration.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so yeah, thanks again for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep. See you guys next time.